acknowledge Dr. McLeod and her fine team for their diligence and work in the planning of this year's event. Thank you, Dr. B. As Vice Chair of the Urban League Board of Directors, and alongside my fellow board members and advisory board members, it is my honor and privilege to continue promoting the great work of Urban League and its impact across Northwest Indiana since it was founded back in 1945. That makes us 77 years young.
Yes. Amazing. Yes.
There's no doubt that Urban League is still young at heart.
Yes.
Especially with Dr. B at the helm. Right? And all this time we have been staying true to our mission. And as Dr. McLeod would often say, we are living in challenging times. But there are so many organizations and institutions in Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties that have recognized the importance of creating environments that are diverse and inclusive. It works. And today we recognize their efforts and commitment to diversity and inclusion. And at Ivy Tech Community College, we have been making an impact of our own, especially with respect to our work on diversity, equity, and sense of belonging at our 19 campuses throughout the state. So, at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who has fiercely led Ivy Tech to make progress in our diversity, equity, and belonging work. Her leadership has also translated into sustainable outcomes for the college that continue to evolve and transform our communities throughout the state of Indiana. So please join me in welcoming the president of Ivy Tech Community College, Dr. Sue Elstrom.
Thank you, and thank you so much to the Northwest Indiana Urban League for the invitation to be with you today. It is so great to see a full house like this. Wow, it's been a couple of years since we got to be together like this, so congratulations to you. You know, these opportunities are really too rare, but they demonstrate the commitment that you have in this region to supporting equity, diversity, inclusion. I've made a commitment to Indiana to make sure that we thrive. And that means that all Hoosiers in every community, ensuring we're an institution that welcomes all and does everything in our power to help individuals succeed in their education and in their careers that lead to prosperity. And my real prayer is to healthy families, healthy communities, which is what I think we all really want to happen. And that's really what brought me to Ivy Tech as I was finishing my first gig as Lieutenant Governor. It was recognizing that, as you do here, that much, not all, of it is what we can see that is greatly reduced and needed by and required by education, which opens a world of opportunities and increases hope in all those around us. The Urban League's mission, which Dr. McLeod, I studied it, just so you know, is to promote, encourage, and enhance services to improve the social, the educational, and economic conditions of African Americans and other minority groups in Lake Porter and LaPorte counties. I can see such an incredible overlap with the work we do at Ivy Tech, and trying to have that same commitment and realization that we, as a nation, as a state, as communities, are not reaching our potential until all, whether that's Black, Latino, immigrants, single parents, low income, differently abled, and many, many others, unless we're about all, to have equity for all opportunities. And while Ivy Tech can't solve it all, we together can do that work, and I know that's what this luncheon is all about. So let me just share a little bit about what diversity, equity, and what we say at Ivy Tech belonging means to us. And I'll start with our strategic plan in 2018. You know, every new president has to bring their own new strategic plan. Poor Oxo and Louis having to put up with a new president years ago. But we thought we had done a really good job with our strategic plan. It's called Our Communities, Your College, Pathways to Student Success in a Stronger Indiana. We had 7 really good goals, beginning with student success and all focused on workforce alignment and so many good things. And then a year after we adopted the plan, we said, you know what? We haven't done our job when it comes to diversity and equity. And we just admitted it. And in fact, my team, including my chancellor, said we need to do better. And so we adopted a goal 8 for our strategic plan. By the way, 7 is enough. 8 is a lot. But we adopted a diversity, equity, and belonging goal to focus on what we really needed to be about. And so it had us as a whole college come together and focus on our students, our employees, and how we interact with our communities to make sure that we were the institution that our students, all students, needed us to be. And you might ask, why belonging? Because belonging is more than inclusion is important, but belonging. We need to be, as the open access institution of higher education in Indiana, we need to be a place where everybody feels when they walk in our door or walk up to our campus or meet one of us on the streets, that we are a place where they belong, where we will help them succeed, that we'll meet them where they are, because we know, and we saw it so clearly during COVID, people are coming to us in really tough situations, and we need to meet them where they are. I do want to take an opportunity to introduce one other person on our team, Amber Williams. Will you stand up, please? She is our Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and of those goal 8 metrics, which are to really combat the systemic inequities that our students face. So yes, Amber, you're always on speed dial. Well, since our development, we have seen numerous positive impacts. But most importantly, maybe to me, is when we surveyed our own employees, they know this is important to us as a college. They're on board. We're not there yet. I'll share some of the many things we're doing. We're not there yet, but we are committed to making sure that we are the community college that Indiana needs us to be. So let me start. I'll start with mitigating bias training, right? We have to make sure that we're hiring, supporting, coaching, developing our employees and making sure that there is no bias involved. We made a commitment that when we hire, every one of our employees on our hiring committee is going to be trained in mitigating bias. That now, to date, is over 1,100 employees that have been trained. Wow. And maybe a really good, again, culturally, now, if we don't see a diverse pool, we say there's something wrong. We have not done a good job. We are not engaging with the right folks. We are not using that getting into the pool where we should be, because that's what we expect. We expect to bring great talent to Ivy Tech, and that great talent is going to be diverse, to look like our students and to serve our students extremely well. On the recruitment front, we've got employee dashboards that make sure that we're seeing what our employees look like and where we've made progress and where we've not made enough. I'm very proud of at the leadership levels. We have a great, as my chancellor team knows, we have a great team of chancellors, but I'm proud to say now that 8 out of our 19 chancellors are led by Black and Hispanic leaders, and they are doing a fabulous job at our largest campuses. Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Lake County here, South Bend, Evansville, we call our C1, our large campuses. But again, great talent, great role models, great leaders to reflect the communities that we serve. One of the very special events has been at Ivy Tech for a very long time, and our vice president is really responsible for it. It's a tradition we call Doing the Green. We've been honoring Dr. Martin Luther King for many years, his legacy, and we do a program every year called Doing the Green, where we bring some amazing leaders to the Kokomo campus, but then projected across the entire college over these 18 years. And Amber, how many years have you been involved? 10 of those 18 years. It's still involved, I know. We've had over 25,000 students and adults and community leaders attend over that time. But these have been like great names. Bakari Sellers, yeah, attorney, political commentator. Many of you have seen him on CNN and other places. Kenneth Morris, great-great-great-grandson of Frederick Douglass and the great-great-grandson of Booker T. Washington. Pretty cool. Dr. Tricia Rose, author of Cancer's Professor of African Studies, Associate Dean of Faculty, Special Initiative with American Brown University. And then inside, we really want to celebrate with our speaker series we call Heritage Speakers Series every month. On that month, what is the heritage that we want to celebrate and commemorate and really celebrate diversity at all levels. So we've had speakers like Dee Ross, the founder of the Ross Foundation, Tamara Whitney Harris, the Vice President of People, Culture, and Brand for Central Indiana Community Foundation. And we're looking at many more to celebrate Native American heritage and Asian and Pacific Islanders. And we just have to raise this up in the college to make sure that we're recognizing people for their talents and contributions across. But now let me talk about in the college, what we're doing to make changes. We recognized in our last strategic plan that, you know, so many of our students are first generation to college, and they don't have parents at home who have been a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or whatever that latest career is. And so how do we help those students get there? So we've developed, with the help of the Lilly Endowment and many other partners, what we call Ivy Plus Career Link. Career Link provides every one of our students access to a career coach. It means day one, in addition to an advisor, they have access to somebody who will help them figure out their why, that will help them get internships within our great companies, to help them be placed, to help them prepare for that mock interview or to have that good resume or to be on LinkedIn. Well, by the way, as we have led the nation in building the best, what I would call the best career services in the country, we know after scaling this, that after our first year, our retention of students who use our career link is 16% higher. And of our Black students, it's 18% higher, which demonstrates the importance of those career services throughout the time, not when somebody finishes, but when they start, when they walk in the door, to make sure that they're going into a career that's high wage, high demand, has possibilities, has a job in their community, and that they have those opportunities to work and learn along their way, or get that, if we were talking apprenticeships, to get that apprentice program, etc. There's all the things that we take for granted that students know that they do not. And when they know their why, they're much more likely to succeed and have a successful career. One of my first stories when I got to Ivy Tech, and I visited Louis in our old Gary campus, I visited the ASAP classroom. So ASAP is our accelerated 2-year degree in one year. And I went into the room. That old room had no windows in it, white paint on the walls. And these students, they take double the credit hours. They're going to take 24, 27 credits a semester to be done in 1 year. They're not supposed to work, but guess what? And Gary, those students were working. They were working 30 hours a week. And when I asked them about their studying, they said, well, we share our books. I said, what? You share your books? They couldn't afford their books. Now, anybody that's sending kids to college lately, do you know how expensive books are?
Right.
It's ridiculous. So that was the day that I decided we are going to find a way to do inclusive tuition at Ivy Tech. And I want to say I couldn't be more proud of my team. Because last year we introduced Ivy Plus textbooks and tuition, and guess what? We got it down by negotiating with our publishers. We got it down to $19 a credit hour, which if you went out and tried to buy a book that's under $100, good luck. But better yet, Ivy Tech took our higher ed emergency relief funds, and we've made books free for 2 years for all of our students. Higher pass rates, lower drop rates, students taking more credits. Because the other part of Ivy Plus, we didn't stop with just the textbooks. We froze tuition for 2 years. That's another good thing. I'll take applause on that. We also banded the tuition, so we max it at full-time. For a quarter of our students are full-time. Many are part-time, but a quarter are full-time. So they can take those ASAP students they never pay for more than that same base rate of 15 credit hours. So they get the rest of that free. And then finally, you're probably familiar with 21st Century Scholars. 21st Century Scholars, an amazing program for Indiana students with need. But here's a caveat. You got to complete 30 credits an hour. If you don't complete 30 credits an hour, you lose that full ride scholarship. So at Ivy Tech, we set up a summer flex scholarship. So if you had to drop a class, you couldn't get all of them, you needed 30 credits, you could take summer school for free. So we had 1,000 students this summer take classes for free. 3,500 credits. So it can be done. We are seeing that when we change the model and we take the barriers away, that it's to me not even possible that we would say, oh, you can come to school here, here's your tuition money, but you don't have your books, right? How in the world do you succeed in that world? How do we allow those barriers? So we're going to continue to work. My team knows that we're going to keep driving down that cost of books, getting it down further and further if we can. Our next program that we looked at is we know that there are behaviors that if students demonstrate certain behaviors, in fact there's 10 of them, if they do even 6 out of these 10 behaviors, they're 95% likely to be retained. Things like doing your FAFSA. Do you know that the best predictor of someone going to college is if they completed their free financial aid form? That's important. Or signing up for classes more than 30 days before classes start. Why is that important? Because you're not prepared if you don't get signed up, and you may not get the class you need if you don't get signed up early. But many of our students, first generation, not sure how they're going to pay for it, they come the day before class and they want to come start on Monday and they're not ready, right? So there's a number of these behaviors. So IQ Achieves is our program to the goal to get our students to do those 10 behaviors to help encourage them to get there. Lilly Endowment has come along our side with that. We are committed to it, and we are doing that with all of our first generation, our students of color, to make sure and help support and find out how do we ensure that every student who walks in our door is able to succeed. We have a great program with PepsiCo, and I'll say unashamedly, I'll tell you that in my prior life, I made potato chips for Frito-Lay. I ran potato chip production as an industrial engineer back in 1984. Made 4,000 pounds of potato chips an hour, just so you know. I was also 10 pounds heavier. You need to taste it along the way. So PepsiCo, who owns Frito-Lay, approached Ivy Tech and said, we'd like to support your students of color. And so they have come along our side with an Uplift scholarship. And I want to tell you that last year we had over 100 PepsiCo scholars. We have added, I think our grand total now, we had, last year I should say, 51, this year 110 scholars for over $300,000 of support to ensure our students are going into advanced manufacturing, IT, those careers that are out there, so high wage, great opportunities, and making sure that more students know those are full ride scholarships and that opportunity to have those internships along the way. We also, how many here know the name Bill Goins? Do I have any Bill Goins folks in the room? A few from my team. Bill Goins was the first African-American chair of the board for Ivy Tech and a great friend. He was amazing. He passed away several years ago, and when we thought about how we wanted to honor him, it was to set up the Bill Goins Spirit of Diversity Awards at Ivy Tech, where we honor all things good about Bill's life and how we should be thinking about diversity and equity in our world. So we recognize students and faculty, amazing award. And then this year we recognize, and I think our Ivy Tech team was a little surprised to announce that Ivy Tech's newest holiday is Juneteenth. And it is our award. It's our way to reflect on, to do community service, but to be really recognizing the importance of those before us as it relates to the many difficult times we've come through as a nation. So at Ivy Tech, we've had a lot of learnings since at least I can say, I know my colleagues have been here longer than me, but we know while we're proud of where we come, we have much more to do. We have so much to become the community college that our students, employers, and communities need us to be. Today, we're celebrating the progress that everyone in this room has made to become more diverse and inclusive. We also recognize that while we have tried a lot, we've had a few setbacks along the way. Not everything you try works, but we're committed to stay in this game as long as it takes. We're not going to be deterred. We must remain committed and recognize the gains even when they're small, because they add up and they get better and better and better. Research supports that diversity leads to better outcomes, right? We know that teams that are diverse perform better. Yeah, we think about it in sports, but it happens at every level. Outcomes are better. And so we have to make that a key part of everything we do intentionally. So let's continue to dismantle the systemic barriers to equity that have lingered for far, far too long. Let's challenge ourselves to not only envision campuses and workplaces where everyone feels welcome, safe, and embraced, but to act on that vision with intentional leadership, to figure it out, to keep trying. And let's be bold and innovative in our approaches, creating a space for others to feel comfortable elevating their voices, sharing their lived experiences, and stretching for a better future so that we can build something that lasts for generations to come. I hope that you will also always see Ivy Tech as your partner in the work that you do. As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I hope we go together. I hope we learn together. I hope we grow together. And I hope we go very far together. Thank you.
Thank you, President Councilman. I really, really enjoyed what you were saying, but it also reminded us that although you have gone far, there's still work to do.
Right.
And we have to celebrate those small steps and work together. And we can do that. Can we all do that? Yes. Wonderful. Now I am going to bring up the chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Awards Review Committee. It's time to pass out the awards.